Chiefs Week. What's up, Broncos country? My name is Brandon Gilchrist. Well, it's a big week. After 10 days away, the Broncos are back to play their second of back-to-back division matchups. Some say it'll decide the division this year. I'm not sure that's the case considering the Chargers are still in the mix. That being said, this is an opportunity for the Broncos to maintain their lead on the division heading into the bye week. The bonus is setting the Chiefs significantly back in terms of the division race and their playoff chances. Before we get into the matchup, let's talk about the word on the beat this week. Few big things happening this week for the Broncos. First off, we have some news in terms of the stadium development. Last week, Denver residents approved a $950 million bond. Within that bond was about $150 million for improvements specifically in transportation around the Burnham Yard area, which is part of the stadium development. With the anticipation of the bond passing, the Broncos also submitted their stadium and neighborhood plan. This included the launching of a new website where the Broncos have already openly committed to being transparent about the development process. Fans, residents alike in the community can go to this website for the latest updates around stadium development, community input, and more. Right now, the goal is for the Broncos to secure the building permits by January 2027 in anticipation of opening the facility in 2031. Additionally, this week, as they have since taking over for the Broncos, the field at Mile High is being completely replaced. Immediately following the Raiders game on Thursday night, Chris Hathaway and his team began pulling up the partially used field and putting in new sod for this upcoming game this week. Incredible work by this team. The Broncos have committed to player safety in so many different ways, and making sure that the field is at its pristine condition throughout the year is just one of those ways. November 11th was also Veterans Day, and I just want to take a moment to thank all of those men and women who serve, including their families. We truly appreciate your sacrifice and commitment to making sure that all of us are safe and frankly able to exercise all of the freedoms that so many of us take for granted. Thank you. All right, let's talk about this matchup. The Chiefs come to Mile High at 5-4. Their head coach, Andy Reid, has been running this division for the last 9 years. And the Broncos are looking to make a stop to that and change that over this year. Andy Reid is going on his 12th year as head coach for the Chiefs. Prior to that, he spent 13 years as the head coach for the Eagles, where he also experienced a ton of success. Known for being a player's coach, Andy Reid's offense tailoring its approach based on the player's strengths that he has at that time. He's found a ton of success as the Chiefs head coach, winning 3 Super Bowls, but basically being in the AFC Championship for the last 5 years. All of it quarterbacked by a guy he picked in Patrick Mahomes. This year started a little different for Andy Reid and the Chiefs. They started 0-2 for the first time since 2014. Now, the Chiefs are coming off a loss to the Bills and their Week 10 bye week. So they are not only hungry for a win, they're going to be giving their best effort to getting back in this division race and trying to secure their 10th title. They'll be traveling to Denver on what many in their community are calling a must win. Now, the Broncos are sitting at 8-2, leading the division, second in the AFC. They remain tied for the best record in the NFL, primarily led by their defense. This win could not only help solidify their lead in the division, but also put the hopes of the Chiefs in the playoffs a little bit more out of reach. Now, this team has traveled a lot in this first part of the schedule, this first half of the season. They just played 6 games in 32 days. That basically means 1 game every 5 days. It's no wonder the performance that we saw on Thursday night looked like the team was exhausted. I'm so glad that they were able to actually get 3 extra days of rest this past week before playing the Chiefs. Let's talk about the Broncos' defense versus the Chiefs' offense. The Broncos continue to be a leader in the NFL when it comes to their defense. They're currently ranked 3rd at 270.7 yards a game, 179.5 yards passing, good for 5th, 91.2 yards per game rushing, good for 5th, and only allowing 17.3 points a game, good for 3rd. They currently have 51 total pressures with 28 quick pressures, according to Next Gen Stats. They lead the league with 46 total sacks. That's actually 14 more than second place, and that's the most through 10 games since 1990. Against a dominant performance of the Raiders, Geno Smith was pressured 22 of his 27 dropbacks, 6 sacks, 11 QB hits, and an interception. My goodness, they put on a performance. The front seven's going to look a little bit different this week with Alex Singleton being out of the mix after a positive drug test and follow-up appointments. Alex Singleton uncovered he had testicular cancer. Despite knowing that diagnosis and anticipating upcoming surgery, Alex played on Thursday night and then underwent his procedure Friday after the game. This man continues to be an Iron Man for this team. He played through and completed a game last year with a torn ACL. He's had a broken thumb twice this year. This man truly lays it all out on the field for this team and for his teammates, and I'm wishing him all the best as he recovers from his surgery. I know he's hungry to get back on the field, and I know the team is hungry to have him in the building, and I imagine we're going to see him on the sidelines. God bless you, Alex Singleton, you and your family. Thank you for everything that you do in the Denver community and for this team. Now, with that, I would anticipate that we're going to be seeing more of Justin Strnad and Dre Greenlaw in the mix, and it'll be interesting to see how the Broncos fill in behind them, whether that be elevating somebody from the practice squad like Lavelle Bailey or Jordan Turner. It'll also be interesting to see who wears the green dot on Sundays, since that was Alex's role as well. I would imagine that would go to Justin Strnad, but there's also a possibility that it could go to someone like a safety that we've seen in the past with a Brandon Jones or maybe a Talanoa Hufanga, although he moves so much that I don't know if he would be ideal for wearing the green dot. So my guess would be Justin Strnad, but we'll have to see on Sunday. In terms of coverage, the Broncos have done very well in filling in Pat Surtain's absence, and they're going to need to continue that effort on Sunday. Riley Moss is still balling. Right now, he is forcing a tight window throws, that's basically 1 yard or less of separation, 37.3% of the time this season, according to Next Gen Stats. The only people who have higher percentages than that are Patrick Surtain, Quinyon Mitchell from the Eagles, and Max Melton from the Cardinals. That just goes to show you once again how sticky a coverage Riley Moss plays. The man is balling this year. When we look at the Chiefs' offense, it's coordinated by Matt Nagy. Now, this is primarily an Andy Reid offense, and he's the one who actually calls the plays. Matt Nagy has been with the Chiefs since 2023. Prior to that, he was the QB coach in 2022. Prior to that, he was actually the head coach of the Bears from 2018 to 2021. Now, the Chiefs' offense is currently ranked 7th in the league. They're producing 334.6 yards a game, 248.9 passing, good for 5th, 121.2 rushing, good for 12th, and 26.1 points per game, good for 9th. The Andy Reid system is really built off of the West Coast offense with a lot of quick passing. They also implement a wide zone running scheme to fit that passing scheme. The whole role of this offense is really about exploiting matchups and beating the personnel that you have out on the field. Since Patrick Mahomes has been quarterback for this offense, it is primarily passed first, run second. I wouldn't even say that they pass to set up the run. They pass to set up the pass. They're generating explosive plays about 14.8% of the time. That's the highest for them since 2022 when they also had a prolific offense. They're also in shotgun about 90% of the time, which is astronomical. So you see, they're not even trying to hide it. This is a passing team. Now, their O-line is much improved from last year, though there's still some struggles happening, especially in their most recent performance against the Bills. They've been missing their left tackle in rookie Josh Simmons, who had a personal matter and has been out for the last 4 games. He's practicing this week, but it's still up in the air whether he's actually going to play. Unfortunately for them, against the Bills, this line was abused. I'm hoping the Broncos are able to also repeat that performance on Sunday. The good thing is, the Bills weren't even sending the blitz. Most of the time they were rushing with 4. And we already know that the Broncos love to use a lot of different mixes, whether that's blitz, whether that is just sending 4, usually sending 5 in some variation. So it's going to be interesting to see how this line holds up against the Broncos pass rush. Now, in the running game, they're a little beat up here with Isaiah Pacheco experiencing a knee injury. It doesn't look like he's going to play in this game, but we'll still have to see. He didn't practice on Wednesday. Andy Reid, during his press conference, indicated he needs more time, so I would expect that means he's probably not going to play on Sunday. With that in mind, they'll be using Kareem Hunt and Brashad Smith to fill in. Again, the Chiefs don't use the run all that much. here and there. They will use it in the red zone. The Broncos will just need to make sure that they maintain discipline on the line when the Chiefs do use the run. Now in the passing game, this obviously is where the Broncos need to watch out. They still have tight end Travis Kelce, which I would say at this point in his career and for this season has been Mahomes' safety blanket. He's not necessarily his primary target, but when things break down, he absolutely looks to Travis Kelce first. So the Broncos need to be aware of that. At this point, I'm telling you, the man doesn't even really run routes. I'm pretty sure his route every single snap is get open. Just find a hole in the coverage and get open. Surprisingly this year, the Broncos have done a decent job with covering tight ends with the exception of the Giants game. Now Mahomes' primary target is receiver Rashee Rice. Now that he's been back, he's been blowing up since. He's absolutely the big play threat for this offense at 6'1", 200 pounds. He's a very physical receiver with excellent yard after catch. So the Broncos are going to have to rally tackle to this guy. He also has amazing body control, and Mahomes loves to look for him in the red zone, and they use him in a lot of various ways, including handing off to him in the run game. The other threat for the receiving corps here is Xavier Worthy. He's the speed demon for this offense. He's an excellent route runner, and the Broncos are very much going to have to be disciplined with him when it comes to the deep ball. So what's the plan for all 11 here? Priority 1, hit him in the mouth. Now when I say that, I'm talking about anybody that has the ball on that offense, including Patrick Mahomes. The Broncos need to make sure they leave their mark. We all know Mahomes is dynamic on his feet, so the Broncos, we have to be disciplined in how they rush him and make sure that they contain him. But with that, they also need to make sure that they get him on the ground as quick as possible. Make him hold on to the ball in coverage. You have the ability to be able to rush just 4 and play coverage if you need to. That seemed to give them a lot of fits, and every time Mahomes has trouble, it's usually because of some type of coverage like that. We have speed on defense to be able to get him on the ground and not let him run around. Priority 2, cover through the whistle. Just as I was talking about with having disciplined rush lanes and being able to play coverage, we cannot stop. Mahomes loves to run around and find somebody open after the play breaks down, which means we're gonna have to keep running around to make sure that receivers and the tight end stay covered until our front 7 get him on the ground. This is a different type of game, and a lot more backyard football is going to be played, so we must be prepared as a secondary to cover that. Let's talk about the Broncos offense versus the Chiefs defense. Despite what the media may tell you, and there have been some struggles here the last couple of weeks, this is happening across the NFL. The Broncos right now, their offense is about the middle of the pack. They are currently ranked 13th in the league. 334 yards a game, 206 passing, good for 18, 128.6 rushing, good for 9th, and 23.5 points per game, good for 17th. The offense hasn't found that consistency that we've been looking for all year. It has absolutely been an up and down performance, sometimes within the game as well. This weekend, having the ability to step back and watch other games because the Broncos didn't play, it's been interesting to see that this is kind of happening across the NFL, especially with a lot of the dynamic offenses that you're used to seeing. The Packers, the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Bills, they're all struggling on offense from week to week. You just don't know what performance you're going to get. In some ways, that was a little bit encouraging. Defense is really just dominating this season, and there are very few teams who are consistently playing well week in and week out. The good news is there's still weeks to figure this out before the playoffs come. Now this week, the running game is going to look a little different. J.K. Dobbins experienced an ankle injury or foot injury on Thursday night after a hip drop tackle that wasn't called. I know he's frustrated about that one. The Broncos are going to miss him. There's an argument that he's been the MVP for this offense this year and has been really the only consistent bright spot for the offense this year. This does mean that there's a huge opportunity here for RJ Harvey, who's been great in the passing game, at times been great in the running game. There's a sneaky possibility that RJ Harvey surprises some people this weekend. With that, I would expect that this means Tyler Bidet is going to get more touches this time around. We'll see a balance of those two. We may even see Jaleel McLaughlin get activated for this game. We'll see him kind of be that change of pace back for this offense. In the passing game, we know Bo Nix hasn't quite found his stride yet this season. I really hope getting these extra 3 days of rest has helped him clear his head just a little bit and that he's ready to come out and just have some fun on the field this week. In thinking about his performance over the weekend and just kind of taking a step back and looking over the season, I sort of boil it down to, all right, what are the things that we can fix in season? What are the things that are going to have to just wait until the off season? In season, the level of hurry that he seems to have in the pocket, I think, can be slowed down. If he waits just a tick more. There are times when receivers get open that he's missing, and I know he's got a great clock in his head for avoiding sacks, but there's an opportunity for him here to wait one more second or just step up one more second to give his receivers a moment to get open and trust what his eyes are seeing. What we've been seeing a lot is there just seems to be a little bit of off timing, whether that's because of his drop back, whether that's because of how the receivers are running routes, that's made Bo hesitate when he's throwing the ball. And you saw that a ton on Thursday night, way more than we'd seen in the other games. The other piece that I think he can change in season is just picking up more first downs with his legs. If it's not there, if he doesn't trust what he's seeing, just go, man. Just go. I know he's working so hard on becoming a pocket passer and reading the defense, trying to give his receivers a chance with the football, but his legs are a weapon. Just use them. Pick up those first downs. If you can reset the downs, that's going to also give your receivers and your running back an opportunity to run or catch the football if you've got a whole new fresh set of downs. So just run and pick up the first. As far as offseason goes, the way he climbs the pocket can be fixed in the offseason. He tends to run up into the pocket versus just steadily climbing the pocket and letting that pocket develop around him or letting it slowly squeeze on him. When he starts to feel that squeeze just a little bit, he tends to bail. I think this is just something he's going to have to work on in the offseason and trusting his line. Now, I will say, in terms of the offensive line, there is quite a bit of pressure coming through from the guard and center spot. We talked about this early on in the season, and I'm talking about the left guard and center. At times it's protected, at times it's not. At times they're on the ground, and that can get in a quarterback's head, and that can make them not want to trust their protection, which makes them bail. So this is again why I say it's not all on Bo, it's not all on the line, it's not all on the receivers. It's always a combination of things. This is why I say this may be an off-season fix when it comes to climbing the pocket in a steady rate and trusting the protection. The other thing that I think will help is just using the quick game a bit more. In terms of the Chiefs defense, it's coordinated by Steve Spagnuolo. He's been the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs since 2019. Prior to that, he was the interim and head coach for the New York Giants from 2015 to 2017. They're currently ranked 6th in the league at 291.8 yards a game, 187.2 passing, good for 7th, 104.6 rushing, good for 12th, and only allowing 17.7 points a game, good for 4th. Now, Spags loves to play an aggressive style defense that is not afraid to blitz from all different areas of the field. He loves to use the DBs, whether that's safety or cornerbacks, in the pressure packages. He actually blitzes his cornerbacks about 18% of the time, which is pretty dang high. They are a base 4-3 defense that loves to use a lot of too high shell, especially when they know the quarterback is dropping back. They're using primarily zone coverage about 70% of the time, and that makes sense when you tend to blitz a lot. This team has been very good at keeping teams in between the 20s. That being said, if you do get to the red zone, they're having trouble keeping teams out of the end zone. You can score on this team. The other piece is in the running game. They are having trouble stopping the run this year. So that is an opportunity for the Broncos as well. When we look at their front seven, they aren't necessarily getting home and creating a lot of sacks, but they are still creating some pressure up front. Bo Nix in the offense will have to keep their eyes out for Chris Jones and George Karlaftis. Chris Jones still been great off the line and stopping the run. Again, he hasn't created as much pressure this year as he has in the past, but the Broncos will need to keep an eye out for him. Same with George Karlaftis, defensive end. He is a dynamic playmaker and can be a sack machine for them, great at generating pressure. He's another one that the Broncos will need to look for and will be a task for Garrett Bowles this week. Nick Bolton, right in the middle of their defense, historically been great at stopping the run, and he has struggled quite a bit in terms of pass coverage. Now, they still have a playmaker on the outside in their cornerback in Trent McDuffie. He already has an interception this year. That being said, this secondary is allowing about 70% completion from quarterbacks this year. There will be opportunities to pick apart their zone coverage if Bo can see it. So what's the plan for all 11 on offense here? Number one, complementary football. And why do I say that? One of the ways to beat the Chiefs is to keep Mahomes off the field. So that means that we'll have to have a balanced rushing and passing attack to make sure that our offense stays on the field. The more the offense is on the field, the less opportunity the Chiefs have to score, the less opportunity Mahomes has to bring this team back to steal a win at the end. Number 2, leave no doubt. Use Courtland Sutton. I know they're bracketing him. I know they're sending extra coverage his way, especially on third down. We must find a way to get him implemented into this game, whether that is moving him around, put him in the slot, put him on the outside, use him in motion, get Courtland involved in this game. The other piece, don't overthink what's happening. This Broncos team is resilient. They're battle tested. They are physical. They can play against anyone. Use what works. Don't be afraid to play straight up, because if you do, this offense has the advantage straight up over this defense. They are not as good as they've been in the past. And if you play them straight up, the Broncos can win. Part of that is just having fun. And the less we can make this offense think and just go out and play some football, do what you know, the more they can have fun and not even make this a contest. In terms of the Chiefs special teams, it's coordinated by David Taub. He's been the special teams coordinator since 2013. Prior to that, he was actually the special teams coordinator for the Bears from 2004 to 2012. They do have a dynamic kick returner back there in Nicky Remigio. The Chiefs also have a reliable kicker in Harrison Butker. Every point's going to matter in this one. The Broncos, at the very least, should come away with field goals each time they possess the ball. Will Lutz will need to be on his game. Field position is also going to matter in this one. So Jeremy Crawshaw, we are looking for a bounce back game. Now, Michael Bandy was released and re-signed to the practice squad this week. That's a good sign for Marvin Mims coming back in this contest. Not only is he going to be helpful on the special team side, but I think he's also going to be helpful when it comes to our offense and giving Bo another reliable target. Look for Marvin Mims to make a serious impact on this game. Let's take a look at the health report for both teams, starting with the Chiefs. In terms of the Chiefs starters, there are a few people on this health report, though only one that I really think is going to be absent from this upcoming game. Isaiah Pacheco has a knee injury. He was out against the Bills, and it sounds like he's going to be out in this game. He didn't practice on Wednesday. As of this recording, doesn't appear to be on track to play on Sunday. In terms of defensive end, George Karlaftis, he was a limited participant on Wednesday with a thumb injury. I think he's going to play. Same with right guard Trey Smith and right tackle Jawan Taylor. Trey Smith with a back injury and Taylor with a knee/ankle injury. Both full participants on Wednesday. Certainly look like they are on track to play on Sunday. And then finally, left tackle Josh Simmons. Non-injury related, a personal matter for him. Though he's a full participant in practice, it is up in the air whether we will actually see him on Sunday. For the Broncos, we continue to expect quarterback Patrick Surtain and Nate Atkins to be out. Wide receiver Marvin Mims was back on the practice field after going through concussion protocol, full participant. Outside linebacker Jonathan Cooper with a thumb injury continues to be a full participant just like he was last week. J.K. Dobbins with that foot injury, not expected to play in this one. It's still up in the air whether he's going to get placed on IR or if he's just going to miss this week and maybe the game after the bye week. Hoping for good news there. Inside linebacker Garrett Wallow with a hamstring injury was a full participant and has been designated for return from IR. He's been a major special teams contributor. That'll be good news there. And then finally, Alex Singleton, who we already mentioned earlier, is going to be out for this game. We wish him well as he heals up from his procedure. Moving into the transactions, a few for the Broncos this week. For the practice squad, the Broncos released Marquise Cox, tackle, and then they also did sign the recently released Michael Bandy back to the practice squad receiver. In terms of the active roster, the Broncos signed offensive tackle Jerron Christian. He was on the Cowboys practice squad. He's a third-round pick from 2018, giving the Broncos a little bit more depth now that Palczewski is playing left guard. The Broncos also signed a familiar face in Lil Jordan Humphrey back to the active roster. He was on the Giants practice squad, and it is great to see him back in the building. He was a reliable target for Bo last year, and he's a great run blocker as well. Look for him to make an impact not only in the screen game, but also in the mid game. We keep talking about the 9 to 20 yards or the middle of the defense where we're needing more completions. Little Jordan Humphrey was a very reliable target in that space, and it sounds like he is on track to play in this game this upcoming Sunday. So that's going to be exciting to see. And then finally, inside linebacker Karen A. Reed has been placed on IR with a hamstring injury. He's been making an impact not only as a depth linebacker, but also on special teams. So wish him well in his recovery. Y'all, I know the national media is basically ruling for the Chiefs or Chargers to take this division, primarily because the way the Broncos are winning hasn't been pretty. What's so interesting about all of that is the way the Broncos are winning is eerily similar to the way the Chiefs won last year, and they turned it on in the playoffs. Not saying it's the exact same thing, but again, the Broncos have some runway here to find some rhythm on offense. I would like nothing more than for our Broncos to win this game and take one step closer to winning this division and just keeping the lead the remainder of the football season, making it a completely anticlimactic ending for the Chargers and Chiefs and for the national media and all of their judgment. This weekend starts that next chapter. This team is built to beat the Chiefs. Let's get it done, Broncos. How are you feeling about this game coming up? What do you think will be the key difference or the key matchup in this contest? Let me know in the comments. As always, be kind. Talk to you soon, Broncos country.